Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. This is Susan Treichhold. I'm the host of the High Performing Woman Talk Show. And on this show, I seek to highlight female founders and female funders, both of which are few and far between. So I like to shine a light on them on this show. And these episodes live on YouTube under the High Performing Woman. So please do like and subscribe so you do not miss out on any of the episodes. Now, today, the subject that I'd like to talk about is, well, I'm going to start with a question. What if the key to unlocking your greatest leadership potential isn't about learning more, but about seeing yourself more clearly? Today's episode, The Mirror Effect, Step Into Your Power, is all about reflecting on who you truly are. The experiences that shaped you, the beliefs that hold you back, and the limitless potential that's already within you. So we're going to explore how real transformation doesn't happen by reading another leadership book or listening to another podcast. It happens when you put self-awareness into action, in community, and when you begin showing up fully as your authentic self. So with me today, I have the great honor of introducing Dr. Sheila Gujrathi. Welcome, Sheila. Let me just edify you a bit. Sheila is really extraordinary. She is a biotech entrepreneur, board director, co-founder of the Biotech CEO Sisterhood, which is, we're going to hear a little bit more about that shortly, but it's empowering women to rise together. She's developed life-saving medicines, led billion-dollar biotech companies, and has been recognized as one of the top 25 women leaders in biotech and fiercest woman in life sciences. So she's a Harvard and Stanford and UC San Francisco alum, and she's now turning her focus to helping others lead with authenticity and courage through her new book, The Mirror Effect, which is a powerful guide to reclaiming your voice, amplifying your impact, and stepping into your power from the inside out. So welcome, Sheila. I am so thrilled to have you here. And I love all of these things that you're doing. You're such an inspiration.
Well, thank you, Susan. I'm so thrilled to be here with you and right back at you. I have loved your journey and watching you grow and help so many women, especially in the business area. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So I came across this photo. Now tell me, I actually just read a LinkedIn post about your lovely mom. I'm giving it away, but tell me about this.
This is such an important milestone. This is actually when I graduated from medical school. And it was a huge moment in our life. So my mother was my first mirror. She was born in India, born and raised in India, and she was a physician. So she was one of the few women who went to medical school of her generation, and she was the gold
Wow.
medalist of her class. So
Wow.
she's brilliant. And
Runs in the family.
yes. And she came to the US, and I was born and raised in the US. But my father was very sick. So my father had his first heart attack when he was 37. I was 3, and my mom was in her 20s. And
Oh gosh.
she had to step up and, become kind of like the sole caregiver. And then my dad ended up dying when he was 50, and I was a teenager. And for her, she really wanted us to go, both me and my brother, to go into medicine. And so that was just a really huge day. So that smile on her face, she doesn't smile very often, but that smile and the celebration of the day is really, really meaningful for us.
I love that. So behind every great woman is a great woman. Now, I had the pleasure of seeing you do your TEDx talk in San Diego. So tell me how this came about. I mean, then it obviously, led to the book the same name. So tell me a little bit about the meaning behind the title of your TEDx and the title of your book, The Mirror Effect, and what inspired you to write the book and do the talk.
Yeah, so actually I started writing this book in 2021, coming out of COVID.
Okay.
I was, very immersed in the biotech pharma space. I had, as you were mentioning, led multiple biotech companies. I had had some great exits. I was stepping into chairwomen roles. But what I found through my personal experiences is while I was quite successful professionally, it was such a struggle to step into these very senior leadership roles, whether that was a CEO job, CEO role, or a chairwoman role. I wasn't necessarily prepared to step into those rooms, and because the politics changed dramatically, I actually struggled with the way I was showing up, because I had a lot of doubt and fear holding me back. And so I realized that there's just like no playbook or manual that any of us have. And I was always used to that. But I started to also realize that when you get to these higher levels of leadership, you need more help, and I felt like I needed more help, and the networks I just didn't have. And I also didn't, I really had an epiphany about how much I was holding myself back. So I started writing this book in 2021. I also co-founded the Biotech CEO Sisterhood, this effort that turned out to be an amazing organization that it is today, where we have over 450 women CEOs. And then last year, they called me and they, through networks, and because of all the work I'd been doing on the advocacy front, an amazing, the TEDx San Diego leadership team called me and said, "Do you have an idea where it's spreading?" And I said, "Actually, I do." And I took it to be a sign from the universe that it's time to get this message out there. So I leaned in and I said, "Let's talk about the mirrors, the mirror effect, and like let's move away from thinking about the glass ceiling, whether that's inner or external, and let's start talking about how to empower ourselves and set ourselves up for success through the power of mirrors." And so that was kind of the title and the subject matter of my TEDx talk. And I talked about holding up your own mirror, surrounding yourself with mirrors, and being a mirror for others. That was the title. That was the basis for my TEDx talk. And then I put all that into my book that I was writing. And so now I have this 3-part framework to my book. The Mirror Effect is the title. And the 3 sections are: hold up your own mirror, know thyself, reflect on your surroundings and understanding your environment, and make a life worth mirroring and set yourself up for success.
That's amazing. I mean, I'm thinking about my own journey, like when I was in investment banking and when I was, promoted to a manager, a leader in an organization. And, uh, you know, slightly pejorative. It was pale, stale, and male, and and British. I was in London, so there was a lot of differences. And I had always been given the advice: if you don't know how to do something, mirror others, or like kind of fake it till you make it. But like that's a different kind of mirror, because that didn't really work for me, because I wasn't I wasn't that person, and like adopting their behaviors, just I would have these out of body experiences like, Susan, did you seriously just say that? It wasn't me. And like, when there aren't a lot of role models of how to behave in your own way, in your own authentic way. And I think that's kind of coming out of what you're talking about now.
That's exactly right. And thank you so much for sharing that, Susan. I know we've spoken about your kind of investment banking career and the challenges. And I think a lot of us have had similar challenges in different industries. I certainly had them in the academic medicine space, where I would walk into grand rounds and not see one picture and portrait on the walls of a woman or a person of color, and never saw myself reflected in any of those mirrors, as you were saying. And the great astronaut Sally Ride said, "You can't be what you can't see," and really, really kind of represented all of that for so many women in science and was the first US American woman to go into space and just such an amazing role model for so many of us. But I also, and then going into biotech and large pharma organizations, again, I was the only woman and only person of color on these R&D leadership teams. And so you try to fit in, you try so much to belong and, to your point, adopt other, ways of thinking, talking, behaving, acting that really aren't ourselves. And we have what we call cognitive dissonance because we
Mhm.
do feel like we're truly being ourselves. And when you're not aligned with your values, when you're not living your authentic life, you truly can't be powerful. True power comes from authenticity, whatever that means to
Absolutely.
the individual person. And so that's really what the mirror effect is about, like understanding who we are and then surrounding ourselves with those people who reflect our brilliance, who truly see us, hear us, understand us, have our backs, cheerlead for us, support us, so that we can be our best selves both inside because we've broken through our limiting thought patterns and barriers, but also externally because we found the right environments to really thrive in.
I love that. Now, I went to this image a little bit too soon when I heard you mentioning the sisterhood. So tell me about this photo. It's very like vibrant and impactful. Tell me
This
about
is
it.
also a very joyful day and such this surprised, I think, all of us. So, as I mentioned, we started the Biotech CEO Sisterhood. We actually invited 50 amazing women CEOs. 25 came for a weekend summit in 2022, and out of that meeting, the Biotech CEO Sisterhood was formed, and we lit a little flame that turned into like a huge fire. And I think it just speaks to the unmet need that we had for support, networking, camaraderie, and actually just transformation. Because when we have each other's back, we can go out into that real world and run difficult companies and work in challenging environments and do really well. Actually, we've had a tremendous number of successful acquisitions and public financing this year, which have all been led by women, many of whom are in the sisterhood. So we decided to celebrate everything we had built. So this year, in January 2025, we decided to have a Wear Pink Day at the biggest healthcare conference in our industry, which is the JP Morgan Healthcare Banking Conference in San Francisco that happens every year. It's the premier marquee.
Absolutely. I'm going to be there this year. I hope you're
Oh,
doing this again.
we are again on Tuesday, and we told people to gather at Union Square at noon. And we were hoping to have a handful of women show up in pink. And this is who showed up.
That's incredible. I
And I
love
still get
it.
chills when I talk about it. And I remember approaching the Union Square, hoping that there would be some people there because we're all so busy and everyone's running around. And I heard this like roar, and there was so much noise. And I walked in, and it was like everybody was there, and the energy was just off the hook, and people were screaming and hugging and crying and clapping. And actually,
I hope it's even bigger this year. You might need a drone.
yes, this was actually a drone photo.
Okay.
But yes, what we're gonna do is, oh, actually, this wasn't. This was just our photographer took this picture. But we're going to do at 4 p.m. on Tuesday at Union Square. Please come there. It doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, what your position industry is. Just come and support women leaders and inclusiveness, and wear your pink and show up and just celebrate with us. 4 p.m. Union Square on Tuesday.
So on the Tuesday, what is that? I'm looking
Um,
at my calendar. That
yes,
would be like January 13th.
yes, Tuesday, January 13th, 4 p.m.
Yeah, wonderful. I am putting it in my calendar. That's awesome. So, just talking about, you know, tell me a little bit about why that space, the Biotech CEO Sisterhood, what was essential, and what advice you have for women seeking their own sisterhood in other fields.
Yes, it really, again, as I mentioned, has been transformative for me and for I think everyone who's been involved. I call it the gift that keeps on giving. Um, and for those of you please watch my TEDx talk because I talk about the moment when I walked into that room filled with brilliant, amazing women leaders, and I felt totally safe. I felt like I belonged. I didn't feel like I had to prove myself. I didn't have to wear a mask. And I finally understood what that belonging feeling felt like. And then I also recognized how uncomfortable I've been in other spaces. So to truly be in a safe, supportive, nurturing environment where we're all ourselves, it was again an eye-opening experience for me. And I thought, oh my God, this is how our male peers must feel all the time. And it was just like this light bulb went off, like, oh, okay, now I understand. And now that I know what this feels like, I'm never going to settle for less.
Well,
This,
so how do you bring, I mean, we're not always going to be surrounded by only women or super supportive male peers. How do you recommend professionals start cultivating the kind of ecosystem and mentors and allies that can support long-term success, like what you're talking about?
yes, right. But just to finish on that thought, because I don't want people to misunderstand what I just said. It's not that I am going to walk into rooms with only women. Most of my
Right,
boards, most of my companies are all men, and I'm still the only woman, and the only person of color, or maybe there'll be two
right.
women. It's just that that feeling was going to be my new normal. And I
Yes.
was going to work on internalizing that feeling so that when I walked into an environment, regardless of who was at that table,
It's like
I
you
knew
anchored it.
I anchored it. I knew what that felt like. And if I could bottle that feeling up and put it in a pill and give it to everyone around the world, men and women alike, I would. Because I do truly feel like it's that powerful to have that experience. So what I wanted to say is that everyone can build that type of networking community starting today. And everyone can be a mirror for someone else starting today, and everyone can seek to find mirrors and put them into our life. We say find your people. It's really important to find your people in life. You don't have to do it alone. We were never meant to. We're human. And I always thought I had to do everything by myself. I always thought it was a fight and a struggle, and I carried around that scarcity mindset with me. And it shouldn't be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. And frankly, that way isn't going to help you be your most authentic, thriving self. So, what I recommend for anyone, again, regardless of title, position, industry, is to find your people and grow your network. I call it building your personal board of directors, but just finding a network, a group to join, a peer group, and actively going out and putting yourself out there, because it does have to be organic. It has to feel natural. You can't force these types of relationships. So you have to just put yourself out there a lot and then see with whom you resonate. And when you do find a connection, follow up on it, nurture it, grow it. And this is a long game. And I've been out talking to many grad students just going into their professional careers. And I'm advocating this to undergrads and graduate students, and just as early as possible, just, really start building that network. And for all of us, there's some of us, in our later stages of our career. And I certainly started very late. I had somewhat of a network, but definitely not what I should have or would like to have. And so I'm still out there building my network too. So really, and I break it. I have a nice framework I use in the book about how to build your personal board of directors. And I talk about having mentors and sponsors and your cheerleaders and role models. Because
Do you want to highlight the difference of what you think is between a mentor and a sponsor?
I would love to, because this was, again, a very big lesson learned for me in my career, which
Yeah.
I learned the hard way. And I'm trying to pay forward these lessons so that people just learn them from the beginning, and hopefully with not too much pain, which like I suffered through. But mentors are amazing people who want to give you advice, or, you can have a great relationship with them, and you can call them and ask them questions, and they can be great at giving you advice, and they can care about you, and you can have a relationship with them. Sponsors are the people who actually open up doors for you. Sponsors bring you opportunities. They say your name when you're not in the room. They advocate for you. They fight for you, and they promote you and they lift you up. And they really, and their actions really are pivotal and critical for you to kind of accelerate in your career, or building your company and bringing in investors. they'll go out of their way for you. And it's really important to understand that distinction, because not all mentors are sponsors, and not all sponsors are mentors. And you're
Right.
surprised about who will be your sponsor. But you need sponsors in your life. And I would say many women and people of color don't have, you know, as many sponsors as they need to have and should have to kind of have, success in the business and professional world. So, make sure you are understanding, who's playing what kind of role. Everyone's important and valuable. And, we can be grateful for everyone in the roles they play, but you really want to be conscious and intentional about bringing sponsors into your board and into your network.
Absolutely. Even in investment banking, you couldn't become managing director unless you were sponsored. And it was other managing directors that some of them might not have anything to do with your area that would have to sponsor you and advocate for you at the boardroom table when they were choosing who would be the next managing director. Whereas, I had many mentors, like somebody, like if I was speaking at the town hall that was good at public speaking, they would mentor me on that. Or someone, when I was having to performance manage somebody in my team that, I chose a mentor that was really good at managing people. So I feel like I agree with what you say. I feel like mentors are like good at giving advice. You bring them a lot of problems, but sponsors, they tend to be maybe the next level up. And when you see them, you're not bringing them all your problems. You're just kind of letting them know your vision and the good that you've been up to.
That's right. And again, sometimes mentors can become sponsors, but I think
Correct.
the challenge is when we get confused and we think a mentor is going to be a sponsor for us, and then they turn out not to be. And then feelings can be hurt and there can be disappointment. But again, they were never playing that role, or in their mind, that was never something that they were going to be doing. Or maybe they don't even see you in that light. Maybe sometimes when you're giving
Right.
people so much advice, maybe they think you're not ready. So I would
Right.
sometimes be shocked by someone who would be a sponsor for me, who I didn't even think knew I existed. And then they would be the one to fight for me at the table to say, I've seen Sheila from afar. She's absolutely ready to take on that big leadership role. And I would find out about that later and thought, oh my God, my goodness, that person has been an amazing sponsor for me.
Hmm. So, for emerging leaders listening today, what's one practice they can start this week that embodies the mirror effect?
There's so many I would love to share. So I think what I'll land on for my one practice, although please read my book because there's so much in there that can help you, is to, build your network, like, so maybe send out those 5 or 10 emails, or, follow up on something that's outstanding where you could have a coffee or a lunch with someone that you've been kind of putting off. Get that scheduled. Even if it's in the beginning of the new year, just continue to intentionally build out that network. It gets easier and easier for those who are struggling, and it's hard for them to reach out. I was definitely one of those people. I didn't want to bother anyone. I didn't want to ask for advice or help. It gets easier the more you do it, and it's just, again, so important. I always say believe in yourself, and celebrate yourself, but you don't have to do it alone. So, to
And I
try to
think it's, yeah, I think when people are looking to get ahead, it's also good to almost, you say book it in, but like maybe even as a recurring thing, like an hour every week, I'm going to intentionally grow my network and have that, like, because if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't get done, right?
I think that's right, and it's so important and critical, and we don't pay enough attention to it until we, like, need something, and then oftentimes that's too late because, you can't just,
Yeah,
manifest
like,
sponsors and
like the
mentors.
people that update their LinkedIn profile after 10 years as soon as they like need something, right?
That's right. It's a continuous effort, and so, again, it's an exercise, it's a daily or weekly practice, and these are muscles that we have to exercise so they get stronger and stronger for us.
Absolutely. Well, I have I've loved these words of wisdom that you've been sharing. I just wanted to leave like an inspirational little image of you here. Do you want to just briefly say this before we sign off?
Yeah, so I was the CEO and co-founder of Gossamer Bio, and I took the company public as CEO, and this is when we were at NASDAQ. celebrating our IPO, and it was such a wonderful experience. I got to thank my team and talk about the vision of the company that I had built from the ground up, and just tremendously meaningful experience.
Amazing, amazing. So, if people want to get in touch with you, they want to watch your TED Talk. Here are this is your website, TED Talk, LinkedIn, Instagram. Now, you have your book out now as well. Where do we get that?
Yes, the book is officially launched. You can buy it at your retail outlets, especially online at Amazon and Barnes and Noble. You can also go onto my website. I have my book landing page there, and you can buy a copy through my publisher. And I have a bundling discount for not only the book, which I have here, but also the journal, because I wrote a journal to go along with the book to help make this very real. I really, again, wanted to create a roadmap and a manual and a playbook for people. So there's lots of exercises, journaling prompts. I talk a lot about how to develop compassion for yourself and those around you and develop your values. So these two kind of go hand in hand. So if you want to get both, you can buy it off my publisher's website with a discount, or you could get both on Amazon or any other retailer.
That's awesome. Sheila, you're amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining the High Performing Woman today. And I wish you every success with your book and everything else you're doing. And I hope to see you in San Francisco wearing pink soon.
That sounds great. I will look for you in the crowd and we'll take a beautiful picture together. Thank you,
Wonderful.
Susan.
All right.